Hello. All right, welcome to your week one content video. I'm just going to kind of walk you through your tasks for week one. Sometimes the video will have a little bit more content and discussion from the textbook, maybe a PowerPoint presentation. This week, I hope to be able to get to that, but for sure, I just want to run through the course and what you need to do for this week. So if I start over here and look at my syllabus, and I go into there, and I scroll down to week one. All right. So you have 3 learning outcomes for week one. Here's where we're going to be focusing. So you're going to be able to identify, describe, and order the stages of the writing process, and that connects to chapter 1. You're going to be able to compare and contrast writer's workshop instruction versus traditional writing instruction that you may be seeing in your classroom, which also connects to chapter 1. And then you're also going to demonstrate the writing process through a personal writing piece, which connects chapters 1 and 5. If you look over here, chapters, readings, and videos, you are to read chapter 1 and 5. Summer and Dana, last class we had together, there were chapter assessments that were computer-based at the end of every chapter, and that's not the case for this one. But your task that you have to do, or at least one of them, will connect back to the chapters for you to be able to apply the chapter content so that I know that you've read the content and are able to apply that in a teaching, writing kind of setting. And then, so these are your assignments and your things that you're going to do that are connected to your learning outcomes. So here the first one is a chapter check-in. Everything, each week you'll have a chapter check-in, and that's kind of in the place of a chapter test from the textbook. But your chapter check-in is going to be an anchor chart, interactive notebook support. I'll go through what that means in just a minute. The number that's listed at the end of the assignment matches the number of the learning outcome that it connects to. So when you identify, describe, and order the stages of the writing process, that directly connects to this interactive notebook support. Number 2, that connects with being able to compare and contrast writer's workshop instruction versus traditional writing, is going to be your discussion board prompt. And then number 3, your personal writing piece connects over here to your assignment 3, which is your student writing. So I'm going to go back over here and into your weekly content. And if you go into week 1, which is where we are right now, I have several things loaded into week 1. So here is the week 1 introduction video that I just uploaded. I will put the videos at the top of each week. Then you notice your assignment number 2, which connects to chapter 1 and learning outcome 2, is your discussion board prompt. So here it will tell you what the prompt is so that you can do a little bit of prep work so that you're ready to post and reply. Each of your posts and replies for the discussion board, it says, make sure that you post your initial comments. So you're going to post your response in a new thread, but then you also need to reply to each colleague's post. So for each week, you will post your comments based on the prompt. Then you will also reply to your 2 peers who will post. So make sure that when you post, if the other 2 or someone hasn't posted yet, make sure that you go back in and do that, because if the discussion board is not due until Sunday at 11:59, then you may have to go in on Monday or early the following week to be able to post your reply. All right, so the discussion board, this link will take you to it. It's also, if you look over here on your navigation window on the left, this will take you into the course discussion boards. There's one every week. So you'll be able to see what they are here. They're also built into your weekly content folders. Okay, this interactive notebook. I'm hoping that the 3 of you are seeing interactive notebooks in your schools and in your classrooms. But on the hopefully off chance that you're not, I wanted to kind of talk with you about what those are. So I've uploaded 3 videos here for you. This first video is about setting up your interactive notebook. So really and truly, an interactive notebook is a best practice that you can do with your students for any content area. A lot of times teachers will use this in like science or social studies or reading because there's a lot of language and vocabulary and work that's going on. And this keeps it in one place. It also keeps it interactive and keeps it as something that the students are able to continue to remember because of their interaction with the content. They're not just sitting and listening to a lecture, they're doing something with that content. So this first video is just a couple minutes long, but it shares how one teacher set up their interactive notebook. There are certain elements that are very common across content area interactive notebooks, regardless of what subject you're doing. This second video is a couple minutes long, but it explains a narrative writing interactive notebook activity. You are not setting up this notebook and you are not doing this activity. These are only references for you to be able to see how an interactive notebook is set up and then what an interactive notebook activity would look like, because it's really kind of beefing up your instruction in the classroom so that you are giving them something as a takeaway for them to be able to put in their notebook to apply and remember that content that you're teaching and writing. So because this is this is not a face-to-face class, we are going to be doing a digital interactive notebook. So once you watch how to set up an interactive notebook and then what an interactive notebook activity looks like, I want you to watch this video about a digital interactive notebook, which is what we're going to be doing. So this video will just kind of give you a really quick introduction to what you can do for your interactive notebook. So in your elementary classrooms, this would be something that would be best done in a spiral notebook or composition notebook. But if you are doing it digitally, Google works better because you can collaborate back and forth on your documents and on your notebooks. So of course, if you're a one-to-one school or a one-to-one classroom, absolutely, your students could do a digital interactive notebook for sure. That would be a great tool for them and skills to be able to build. So watch 3 videos in this order so that you know and understand what we're working towards in a digital interactive notebook. Then, once you've watched those 3 videos, click on this hyperlink here, Interactive Notebook for Turner. So if you note here, do not edit this version. You will need to make a copy, rename the file, and edit the first slide so that it shows your name. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. When you click on this, it will take you into, it should open this up for you. So we don't meet face-to-face, so it's going to be hard for you to bring me a notebook. So you're going to create your digital interactive notebook. So as soon as this finishes loading, I don't know why it's not, but we are going to see pages that are going to be edited for your notebook. So when you log into here, you click on this link. I clicked on it to refresh, so it's kind of taking a second. You want to make sure that you go here and make a copy before you do anything else. So if you click on File, it will give you an option right here to make a copy. So make a copy of it, and then it will prompt you a box of what you want to rename it. So just rename it to be your interactive notebook, because when you upload it to me, it will show me your file name. So rename it with your name on it. Then once you rename it, you're going to come over here to this first slide. So all this is a Google Slides presentation, but I created the slides in a vertical format so that it looks like a notebook. So you're going to edit here, put your name, and this just means Education 355 INB Interactive Notebook. So you're going to edit this. And then as we work through together and build this, you're going to be completing these other pages. So the second slide is going to be your table of contents. When you watch the first video on interactive notebooks, you're going to see that she talks about a table of contents. Every interactive notebook needs to have a table of contents. If you're doing one in your classroom with your students, for everything in your table of contents, they're going to put a page number, but since we're doing an electronic digital notebook, we're going to be putting the slide number. So, for example, slide number 3 is going to be your week 1 page in your interactive notebook about the writing process. So, back here, the first piece that I'm going to have is the writing process, and that starts with slide 3. So as we build in more pages, we'll build in more to our table of contents. And so on slide 3 is where you're going to be working this week. You will see that I've already included pages for the other items that we're going to be doing, but do not edit those yet. Those are going to be something we do in the weeks to continue. So once you open this, make a copy, rename the title on the cover of the first slide, then this writing process form is where you're going to start for this week. When you read chapter 1 that talks about the writing process, this is where you're going to put your information. I do not yet have a rubric up on the Blackboard page, but that is coming, so know that that's coming on what is expected when you create this page. But this number 1 assignment right here, your anchor chart interactive notebook support, goes along with number 1 learning outcome. So you're going to read chapter 1, and you need to, on your interactive notebook page here, and if you need to duplicate this slide and make multiple slides, that is absolutely fine. Just make sure that you go back in here to where this slide number is on your table of contents, and if slides 3 through 6 are about the writing process, make sure you put that in here. But once you read chapter 1, you're going to need to, on that, at least that one slide, identify the writing process, describe the writing process, and make sure you have in order the stages of the writing process. Now, this does not mean that you're just listing the steps in the writing process and leaving that as it is typed into this document. An interactive notebook you will see in those 2 videos is something fun and engaging that gets the students excited about the content. So make it fun. Google search images that are going to match the parts of the writing processes. Look up ideas on how teachers create anchor charts for the writing process for students in their classroom. I do not want this to be a direct copy of something from Pinterest or Teachers Pay Teachers. This needs to be something that you are creating. If you are inspired by something on Pinterest or Teachers Pay Teachers, I absolutely understand, but I don't want something that's directly taken from there. So then, if you're looking at your remaining task, your discussion board is number 2, and then number 3 is to demonstrate the writing process through a personal writing piece. So in chapter 1, we talk about the writing process. In chapter 5, which you also need to read, we talk about types of writing. We're starting our genre studies of writing, and they talk about personal writing piece. They focus on journals and letters. So you are going to choose either a journal entry or a letter, and you are going to include that in your, here's the Turnitin link here for the week. You're going to upload it there. You'll also be getting a rubric for that. Now, when you look in at chapter 1 in your textbook, chapter 1 takes you through the writing process. So it is literally your pre-writing, drafting, revising, editing, publishing. And that's what I want to see. When you look at the rubric and I say, student will demonstrate the writing process through a personal writing piece, that means from start to finish. So maybe you just brainstorm your personal writing piece, whether it's a journal entry or a letter, and you just get your thoughts down on paper. Then with that, you are showing me your revising, how you're revising, showing me your editing marks, and then the finished piece. So it may be that you're doing it hard copy and you scan it in as a PDF, It may be that you're editing on electronic apps or programs and that you are showing me your editing and revising marks along the way. You can choose your format.